and welcome to Viewpoint. My name is Lil Neuman. I'm the host, and Viewpoint's mission is to bring you programs about issues that affect us as families and communities, as well as what's going on in our country today. And my co-host is Susan Salomone, Executive Director of Drug Crisis in Our Backyard.
Good afternoon, Lily. It's great to be here.
Thank you. It's good to have you. Could you tell us something about Drug Crisis in Our Backyard?
Yes, okay. Drug Crisis in Our Backyard is a nonprofit, grassroots community organization. It was founded in June of 2012 after the death of my son to a heroin overdose, Justin. His name is Justin. We started the organization because we felt that there wasn't enough information out there about what was happening with opiates and heroin in our community. I mean, we didn't know anything about it. And then, you know, we went through the whole disease with him. And after he died, us and another family, the Christiansons, they lost their son, Eric, decided to start Drug Crisis. So our mission is to bring awareness of the rampant use of heroin and opiates in our community, also to identify it as a brain disease, to reduce the stigma that's associated with drug abuse, and to hold the medical community accountable for overprescribing, as well as to implement measures to increase the amount of time that insurance pays for treatment.
And that's what Viewpoint's about also. It's about building awareness of different programs that are in the different communities. And having you a guest, Vincent Talifaro, you are the director of the Reach and Rise program in the Yonkers YMCA in Yonkers, New York. And I've known you, we were talking about that. Vincent and I've known each other for about 20 years.
About 20 years, right?
And I'm thinking about programs that are in the community that people need to know about. And that's how, you know, Susan and I were talking, and I said, you know, let's bring Vincent on. Right. Could you tell us about your Reach and Rise mentoring program? What's that about?
Absolutely. First, I want to say thank you, Lily. Thank you, Susan, for allowing me to be here to talk about the program. Reach and Rise mentoring program, the model itself, the therapeutic mentoring program, has been around for about since 1991. It started out in San Francisco at the YMCA out there, and now it has branched out to 38 Ys throughout the country. And we're one of those 38 who are fortunate enough to receive the grant from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Program to bring this program to Yonkers. The wonderful thing about this program is the fact that we get a chance to match young boys and girls up between the ages of 8 to 16 up with mentors who have to be over the age of 23, up with positive individuals who are in the community. Now, our children come from a whole host of backgrounds. I get referrals from school psychologists, social workers, therapists, independent therapists, families, wherever the program needs are. Our kids can have emotional, psychological, or some kind of challenges that are going on with their life. Now, a kid does not have to have any serious problems going on.
Got it.
But if you're living within a community that's impacted through socioeconomic challenges, single parent homes, the child's parent, one of the parents may be incarcerated, they're struggling in school, they diagnosed with ADHD, there are some developmental adaptive issues that come into play. What we do in our mentoring program is we take these children, beautiful children, you know, girls and boys who just, all they need is one, resources, or somebody who cares and loves and respects them and wants to nurture them through those challenges. We match them up with an adult, they spend a year together, and the hope is after that year is that they've created a relationship where the child has what we like to use the term move from risk to resiliency.
Got it.
They're engaged in risky behaviors, but because of that relationship and that nurturing and that rapport with the adult, they now are able to make better choices in their life.
God, that's an amazing program.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. So you said the ages are, again, can you tell us?
8 to 16.
8 to 16 years old, and you pull only from Yonkers?
Right. Right now, the grant only calls for the children out of the catchment area, the location of Yonkers.
Okay.
But the mentors can be from anywhere. I want to make sure that that's very clear. We are in desperate need of mentors, and the mentors can come from anywhere in New York.
All right, so How do you get the kids? How do you outreach for the kids?
Okay, that's a great question. We started this program back in October of 2013. And one of my functions and responsibility was to take this information that we're offering a mentoring program in the Yonkers Family YMCA, go out to the community, talk to other service providers, talk to other community stakeholders who are dealing and working with families and children. So let's say a social worker or somebody from DSS or CPS or whatever has a connection with the family. They interview the family, screen the family, and they see, because of the family dynamics, that the child needs a mentor for whatever reason. The parent may be great parents, but the parents may be struggling in some aspect.
And many times the parents are working.
Yes.
It's a one-parent household. I taught in the city, in the Bronx, and many of the mothers were working 2 jobs.
Yes.
So the children were either going to school, after-school programs, and then nothing.
Right. And in some cases, Susan, to add to that, the mother or the caregiver, because sometimes it's not just the mother.
That's right.
I have so many kids, well, not so many kids, but I have quite a few kids where the grandparent, or in one or two cases, the great-grandparent is raising the child because of the family conditions. Good, bad, or indifferent, the family is in need of support. So they come in, they refer to us. The goal is to interview the family to see what their needs are. I interview the child, I interview the mother, the father, or the grandparent, or whoever the caregiver is. Talk about the mentoring program, and the goal is to try to match them up with a mentor who has similar interests, similar hobbies, so they can at least have a foundation or a platform in which to build a relationship. And that's how it starts.
And I guess this is I don't want to say above, but it's different than a big brother or sister.
Yes.
Because I saw that it's therapeutic in a way.
Correct.
And you have a training program.
Correct.
How long is that training program?
Okay,
for?
the training program,
how do you train them?
And to do the backstep a little bit, we talked about the therapeutic model. What makes this model different, and what makes this model, I'm not saying better than any other mentoring program, because that would be just like, disingenuous. As many mentoring programs you have, that's how many kids need mentoring. So if you have different models out there, as long as you reach a kid and bring them around and get them to move up and be successful individuals, that's all that counts. But the therapeutic model is we actually go through the mentors go through a 15-hour training. So I cut that up in 4 3-hour sessions or whatever the case may be. And what we talk about is, how do you deal with kids who are struggling with ADHD? What are the behaviors associated with that? If you have a kid who's dealing with domestic violence in the home, how do you deal with that? Kids who may be struggling not with substance abuse themselves, but it may be in their immediate family or outside of the family, how do you work them through that? Mostly our kids are coming from single parent homes or one of the parents are missing. Susan talked about some of the parenting issues. Well, we got some kids who are the oldest kid who actually are caregivers.
I was going to say they're probably identified parents.
And absolutely, and they're losing their childhood. So they can't go out and play. They can't go out and have a good time because mom got them babysitting, because mom may be going to school or working as part of their requirements for welfare. The child is losing their childhood. So that's what the mentoring piece is all about, to get that kid out, to be a kid, to develop a relationship. Now, the therapeutic model also has a basic foundation of confidentiality. So the goal of the mentor is to develop a rapport with the child, where the child starts trusting the mentor, where he or she will share anything that they're struggling with. Could be sexual identity issues, could be drug use, could be somebody trying to get them in a gang, or it could be something as benign as the fact that I don't want to go to school because I don't see school as important. It doesn't have to be something as sinister or challenging. It could be the fact that the child needs somebody to talk to, and that's the basis of it. The confidentiality piece, which is the most important piece, is, and this is the fact that the parents buy into this, is that the child can share anything with the mentor, knowing that nothing will be shared with the caregiver unless there's an issue of safety or risk, like suicide, somebody's abusing a child, then all bets are off. The safety of the child is the most important thing. But if a child knows that they're going to share something with the mentor, and the mentor is not going to share this with the family, wow, then it's a whole new different realm. And that's the benefits that we're seeing with this program. If it works, the child is more prone to stay in school, their grades have improved, girls are less prone to get pregnant. They get involved in sports or after school activities. I've had so many conversations with mentors and especially the caregivers about, I'm so happy that my child went into this program. They're talking more. They're communicating more. Kids are talking about their abuse issues.
Can I just stop you for a minute?
Sure.
I'm thinking about the parents. Is there some training or some requirements for the parents that have children in your mentoring program?
Yes.
Okay, could you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that?
Well, one of the responsibilities I have is once I assess the family, is to assess the needs of the family. So what makes Yonkers and Lower Westchester County so impressive and so progressive is the fact that we got a whole host of parenting counseling classes that are out there. We got a whole host of community stakeholders that are out there that I can reach out to and say, listen, this person needs skill development. This family needs parenting classes. This child and the family needs counseling. Because of the relationship we forge in the community, I'm able to make referrals to the appropriate place for the family and or child to really start that process of moving forward to become successful.
So what happens if you have a child that needs counseling but might also need medication? Will you then have those referrals also that you can send them to one of your stakeholders?
Right. Well, because of the way the structure of the program works, we really do not take kids who are emotionally disturbed
Got it. Okay.
or who have serious cognitive disabilities.
All right.
Because the program's not built for that.
Got it. Okay.
And that's my job, to make sure that we execute and screen the families appropriately. Because I've screened some families where the kid has some serious emotional issues.
Got it.
I've not taken them into the program because that's not what the program is all about,
Right.
but I've made referrals.
I was going to say, you have to, knowing who you are, you'd make
I
a
have to make the
right,
referrals.
referral
Could
for
I
them.
just go
Sure.
back to the question about the parents that come into this program? The kid comes into the program.
The kid or the parent?
The kids.
Okay.
The kids are being mentored in your program.
Yes,
Do you have
correct.
how many children right now?
We had 35 kids that come through our program.
Okay, great. Now, those parents, did they have to have an orientation
Yes.
and one-on-one, or is it a group type of orientation?
No. Okay, so let's say, for instance, Susan, I get a referral from one of those community stakeholders I kept talking about, the therapist, the family counselor, whoever the case may be. I read the referral form, and the referral form talks about a whole host of issues. How the kids are doing in school. Are there any abuse in the background of the family? Substance abuse? Are there any cognitive issues? Are there any mental health issues? The family dynamics, who's living in a home, who's not living in a home. So I read that thoroughly. And then I call up the family, talk to them about the program, what the parameters and requirements are, and I set up an appointment to meet with the family. And that's when I meet with them face to face. I generally go to their homes. So I
Okay.
go all over Yonkers.
Right.
I'd rather meet them in their environment than meet them in a sterile environment like the Y, because I want to see how the interactions with the kids are, how the interactions with the families are. If there's anybody living in there that's not on the referral
Right,
form,
got it.
I want to see them in their own environment.
Right. So then you take the kid, let's say you accept the child, and is that it then for the parent, or are they somehow?
No. What we try to do is create a relationship where I communicate with the family, I communicate with the child, and I communicate with the mentor. I'm a support for all three individuals. And I meet and talk to them on a monthly basis to see how things are going.
So if you find a family that parents are struggling with the parenting skills, you can then refer them to a parenting skills class.
And that's the basis of why I need to stay in constant contact with
Got it.
everybody, because our mentors traditionally are not professionals. They're not even paraprofessionals.
Right.
They're individuals, caring individuals who want to work with children, want to be a rudder in the child's life and help them through whatever difficulties they have. That's where my support comes in at. That I'm there to make the referrals, I'm there to give them support, and I'm there to help everybody through those challenges.
So how many kids have you had through the mentoring program since it started in 2013?
35.
Oh, 35.
Oh, and so they stay in.
They stay- A
year.
say how long?
It's a
One
year.
year. Oh, they can only stay in the program a year.
Yeah, now, I don't want to sound harsh or cruel or
Right.
like an ogre or Scrooge, because I get this question all the time. Only a year?
Right.
It's very difficult to have a child match up with somebody, develop a relationship, and then you say it's over in a
Right.
year. Well, two reasons why that happened. One is we want to teach the child healthy termination. A lot of our children have gone through relationships where the men and women, whoever they love in their life, the adults in their life, are in and
go.
out, and
Right.
you just go.
Right.
That's not healthy.
Right.
But we want to teach them what a healthy termination is.
Right.
That I'm only here to work with you for a year, but in the year, and this is another component of this program that's very unique to the therapeutic process, is that we're going to develop an individual growth plan for that child. So a child is coming to me because they're not going to school. Well, in order for you to have a measurable target, you're going to improve your grades after the year is over.
Got it.
Or you're going to be able to talk to your parent or your siblings in a better way as
Right.
opposed to fighting all
Right,
the time.
right.
Changing their learned behavior,
Got it.
their sight behavior, and changing their behavior from what was appropriate, what was inappropriate to appropriate.
Right.
That's the goal.
And what's the tool? What's the metric tool?
The growth plan. That's how you measure.
Okay.
So it's almost
you
like a
sit
treatment
down,
plan.
right? It's like a
It's
treatment
like a
plan.
treatment plan,
So you
right.
sit down at the time of the signing. You ladies are asking great questions. At the sign of the time, when you sign
Smart.
the match, because you are smart. when you sign the match, that I'm sitting down. Let's say, Vincent, you're the child, which you're not, Susan. And you're the parent. You know, we're going to sit down and say, okay, well, Susan, you need to focus on school. This is what you're going to show improvement over at the end of the year, and everybody signs it.
Got
And
it.
now, is that specific?
Yes.
You
It's
say like you're going to go
individualized.
from an F to a C.
Let's see. Yes.
Got it.
It's got
Okay.
to be measurable.
It has to be measured.
Because you have to
Wonderful.
show the child that there is
Progress.
progress.
Oh, sorry to jump in.
And then that's
Right.
fine. You're getting into it. You're really not a problem. There's progress, and there's a way to measure to show
right.
that you can move from point A to point
That's
B.
right.
And this is helping them as they move towards
That's right.
adulthood.
'Cause
That
that's
you have to
right.
see that there are benefits behind positive
That's
behavior.
right.
Yeah.
Because there's so many benefits, when kids are using, the benefit is getting high.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we say to them, well, don't worry, don't get high because there'll be benefits. How do we show them that?
Correct.
And how do we show these kids? And that's great that they can see that it's measurable. And then they start to feel it internally.
Right.
Because that's where the change is.
Right.
And that's where the mentorship piece comes in at. Tell you why, because I talk to my mentors constantly about, okay, how you work them towards positive changes in their life is give them the reward punishment system.
right.
We do not believe in corporal punishment. Let's
Right.
put that out there. We don't believe in that, but what we believe in the fact that, okay, you did great in school this
Right.
week. You did great. You made your curfew. What do you want to do this week?
That's right.
Where do you want to go? And some of the activities we have is they go bowling, they go to the museum, they go
Who
to
pays?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Our mentors, and we need mentors desperately in this program. So I'm reaching out to the community and say, please contact me. My information is on the TV. We're in desperate need of mentors. Our mentors volunteer their time. This is how lovely these people are, who care about the kids, who care about the community, who want to make it be responsible for helping these kids turn their life around. They pay out of their own pocket. Now,
they pay for the museum if they go to the museum.
the mentor pays for themselves.
For
the
themselves.
family has to pay
Hey.
their own way.
Okay,
the
now,
family.
so how
The family have to pay their own way.
How many hours does the mentor work with the child?
1 to 3 hours each week.
Every week.
And they
okay.
make the schedule. The
Yes.
mentor and the,
men-
child
the mentor
and
has,
the family.
The mentor makes the schedule with the child,
Right.
but they cannot pick up the child or they cannot follow through unless the parent or the guardian approve of it.
Got it.
And do they bring them to the Y?
They can do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
The way it works is whatever the family, the caregiver, and the mentor agrees to as far as pickup or
Mm-hmm.
drop off or where they're going to meet is between the mentor and the family.
Got it.
The family again has to approve of it. But once the child, so for instance, the child, if the mentee's family wants them to go to the match meeting or the activity
Right.
on the bus or the train, they can do that because the family's responsible for that. But once the child is in the mentor's care, the
Got
mentor
it.
is completely responsible
And they have to
for
get
that
the
child.
permission and everything's ahead of time.
Right.
Go to the museum or go bowling on a
Whatever-
Friday or Saturday.
whatever it
So
is.
I
Got
have
it.
a question about that because I know that as a teacher, I was never, ever allowed to put a child in my car under any circumstances. So how does your organization get around that?
Okay. Part of the risk management piece, and this is all part of the trademark requirements of the Reach and Rise Mentoring Program, you have to have the activity in public. So, for
Got it.
instance, the mentor cannot have an activity in the mentee's home.
Got it.
Or vice versa. The
Got
mentee
it.
cannot go to the mentor's home. That's to assist in some of that risk management issue. The only time really the child and the mentor are alone if the mentee is in the mentor's car.
Got it.
Right.
And if they're driving to an activity.
Yeah.
But that can only be approved by the parent.
Got it.
And I have to make sure that the driver's license is good and up to date.
Insurance.
I have to make sure there's proof of insurance. I have to make sure that there is no more than 2 points off of their driving record.
Got it.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
parent
So
has-
those are
Right,
some things.
right.
The
Those are the
mentors-
requirements.
And now I have another question.
Go on, then I've
about
got
the
one, too,
mentors.
because we go back-
Mentors. Do you have what would you say is your average age of your mentors?
They have to be over 23, and the average age are between 30 and 40.
Okay. All right. That's
We
interesting.
need young mentors out there.
Young
I mean,
ones, I would
talking
think
to
so.
them.
yes, we need young mentors out there. I'm recruiting feverishly to try to get these college kids who are 23 years of age and over to work with these kids. But I do want to share this, and only because I want to have a vast array of mentors
Right.
to meet the different needs of our different
Right.
young population. But let me just say this to you. I've had a mentor who was white of European descent. And I remember having conversations, it was actually two, it was a man and a woman, who were very concerned about working with kids of color. And they come from communities that are predominantly white. They hadn't had much contact with kids of color. And they were concerned because Yonkers has this negative connotation,
Right.
which is totally, not the case. We have beautiful kids and beautiful families in Yonkers. But they were concerned about how can I approach this kid and how
Right.
can I get this kid to work with me. And one thing I've said in my experience, my 20 years of experience working in the field, is age and race has nothing to do with being genuine.
Right.
As long as you tell a kid that that you care about what happens to them, you show them that you care about them through words and deeds,
That's
and
right.
you're consistent
That's
with
right.
these kids,
Doesn't
it doesn't matter. And it's been a wonderful relationship between those mentors who happen to be white and those and the mentees who happen to be kids of color.
Right.
It's a wonderful relationship. As long as you have those traits and those attributes, everything else takes care of itself.
One question, and this has gone so fast, the time here. What kind of background check do you do on a mentor?
Yeah, we do. We do a criminal background check. We
Okay.
have a company that we deal with that does a criminal background
Okay.
check on them. We check the references
Okay.
of them. That's my personal responsibility to do that, as well as they have to fill out criminal form records, which I do the background checks on that. We're trying to move towards the fingerprinting, but the fingerprinting is very expensive. It's like $75 per fingerprint,
Wow.
and our resources don't cover that. But we do thorough enough background checks where it's helping us out in the meantime.
Got it. Okay. It's a wonderful program. So you need mentors.
Yeah, we need mentors desperately.
mentors.
As I said before, please call me and contact me, Vincent Talifaro at the Yonkers YMCA, and we'll talk about how you can become a mentor.
Right. And you know what? The work that you're doing and the kids that probably when they finish the program, we'd love, next time you
Yes.
come on,
Yes.
if you can, we'll give you, get some of the kids to talk about their experience.
Absolutely.
And how it changed their lives.
Absolutely. Hopefully next time I'll do that. I know the only reason I don't have a child with me now is because it's during the school day,
Right.
and we do not take kids out of the school. And you can't mentor a kid or have a contact with a kid if they're engaged in after-school programs or during school. It has to be in the evening or on the weekend
Weekends.
when there's no school.
Oh, I was just going to ask you that question. So, your mentoring takes place either at night, which is kind of late for an 8-year-old.
Well, it won't be when the sun is down. And remember, it has to be. It can be. Well, let me just say this to you because that's a great question.
When the
It could-
vampires come out, you mean?
Right. But if there is a time or an activity where the child is in the care of the mentor at night and the parent approves of it,
Got it.
that's fine.
Got
As
it.
long as it's not too late.
Right.
Right? And it's not consistent because I have to then monitor to find out why
Right.
you have a kid out this late.
Right.
So generally it's on the weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Or
So-
sometimes
on this-
maybe after school.
After school.
Right.
For,
Right
for
after
a brief
school.
hour or so.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. All right. And
but-
how about, do you do literacy with them?
Yeah, this is not a literacy program.
Okay.
Per se, this is like one-to-one mentorship. But I have had, luckily, some mentors who have an academic background. They've been teachers, educators, things of that nature. And many of our kids are struggling in school.
Got
So
it.
I make sure I match those mentors up who have an education background with those kids who may be having problems in school. To help them get past that educational void. That
So
they
a
have.
mentor could have the person maybe go to the library
Yes.
and they
Right.
could sit there and say, we're going to do homework
Yes.
twice a week
Yes.
from 3:30 to 4:30.
Can,
Have
right.
a
That's what I'm
snack
thinking.
and do
Right.
because then it's a wonderful program that you can mix and match.
Right.
The mentors, what they have, what their strengths
Their
are.
strengths and their hobbies and their interests
That's right,
with the
with the
child
chi- that's
who
right.
have similar backgrounds.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, that's excellent. What do they do at the Y? At the Y, they come to the Y. What are some of the activities that they can engage in at the Y? Do you have like foosball or air hockey or stuff like that?
That's left up between the mentor and the mentee. The mentor and the mentee can utilize the Y free, and as long as they want for that day and activity, as long as they come together.
Got it.
Okay, that's a benefit of having being in the Y. It could be basketball, it could be weights, it could be running, it could be track, it could be basketball, it could be swimming, it could be whatever they choose to do. You know, we afford them that opportunity. It doesn't necessarily have to be Y-based, Susan. It can be community-based, but we afford the mentor and the mentee the opportunity to come to the Y to be together. Yes.
No, I was just thinking that this is a wonderful program.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna tell you something.
And I see your passion for it.
Yeah, I love it. Let me tell you something. I to hear the stories and to listen to the families and to listen to the mentors and the children themselves who say, I don't want to lose my mentor. Or the parent telling me, you know, Vincent, this was a great program. I love this program. What can I do to assist?
Right.
If I can mentor, I would mentor because I see the change in my child.
Right.
It's so visual and it's tangible to see the child who unable to talk about issues, unable to talk about their challenges, in that year's time have the confidence to talk about what they're struggling with or be able to make rational, appropriate decisions on their own.
That's great.
That's the essence of this program.
Great. And you know what, we're running out of time, so I just
it was
want to say,
fast.
it was fast. I just want to say thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
And being our guest here.
Absolutely.
It was wonderful having you.
Thank you, Lily, so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you'll have to come back with one of the kids. It would be great. And a mentor.
That's
Absolutely.
right. And maybe
Yeah, it would
their
be
family
great.
also.
I think that would be great. Absolutely. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
We really would. So thank you, and
Thank
we'll
you.
just keep talking.
All right.